give the correct prompts, then you can also have more time for your intellectual work, because most of the tools will do the basic work on its own. If you give a proper prompt and with the correct tool, most of your tasks are reduced. Maybe you have to do a lesson plan, or you have to do a subject outcomes. What should be the subject outcomes? Your question papers. All these things can be done using your AI tool. So it will basically reduce most of your lecture notes and case studies. You don't have to do it on your own. If you have given a prompt properly, it will reduce that. Your question papers, your assessment, that also can be done using your tools itself. So where can you concentrate? You can concentrate more on the research, more on what the students have to learn. So you can more concentrate on your teaching topics. That is what you can do. And even student support, asking them the questions, practical questions, or preparing the case studies, or giving them notes or learning materials, all that can be done with the help of a proper prompt engineering technique. So if you give a poor prompt, say for example, or you can also learn here, like say for example, what is machine learning or what is emotional intelligence. Give examples. That becomes a basic prompt. But prompt, when you give a prompt, you should have 5 things in mind. One is, you should define the role. What is your role? What is that you are looking for? Role in the sense, for example, if you are teaching the students, there's no harm when you give a prompt in engineering saying that you are a professor, or you are, your designation, or as a speaker you are saying something. So define the role very clearly. Once you define the role, then define the context. Context may also include, maybe you are giving the students a seminar, or you are giving a lecture to a set of students. So define what kind of students they are. They are MBA students, or they are graduate students, or they are 5th graders, whatever it is. So define the context. Define your role first. Define also the context very clearly. Say for example here, if you want to explain, say, customer segmentation to your first year students, you say you are an MBA professor. The context is you are teaching the customer segmentation to MBA students. You also have to give them some kind of tuning. You have to tune them. Someone said with examples. So what kind of examples? Is it related to FMCG? You can name them, or is it related to a finance area? Or is it related to credit cards? Okay, so you have to give your examples also properly. So you have to fine tune. It is not just prompt engineering, but also something known as prompt tuning also should happen. Okay, so you give them the tuning, and then you can also control the depth of how much information you want. Maybe you are asking for a definition, you are asking for a complete concept, or you might be asking for a business case, you might be asking for an example, you might be asking for questions. So define that control, and also what kind of output you want. You want it in bullet points, or you want it in terms of an infographic, or you want it in terms of a data table, you want it as an analytical graph. So do that as well. Define your output. You can see the difference now, right? Between how we prompt and how we have to prompt. Okay? So you can extend this. Write a story always for a prompt engineering, whether it's in ChatGPT or in Perplexity AI. Please use this when you are defining the role, you are defining the context, you are tuning the business application, you are giving the business application, you are giving the output as well, you are also defining the output. Is that clear? So prompt engineering is a very important aspect, because we are using it in all kinds of tools, whether it is ChatGPT, Perplexity, Google AI, or Gemini AI, or Copilot. Any of these tools, whenever you are using, prompt engineering plays a very important role. I think if we learn good prompt engineering, and then we are there. Okay. So the second tool which we all can use, or which we all should use, is notebook LMS. Okay. How many of you have tried notebook LMS? It's a subscription of 200 rupees per month. Okay. Please take it. You can share it. Say for example, you have friends, or you have faculty colleagues, right? Say you are 5 in the department. Don't all of you need not take it. One of you can take it, or all of you can share it. You put 50 rupees a month, it will be enough. Okay, it's hardly 190 rupees a month or 200 rupees a but it will reduce 80% of your complete work. It can give you from, project, your lesson plan, to your outcomes, to your questions, to your case study analysis, slides. Okay, if you do it in ChatGPT or Perplexity, how will your slides be? The slides is very empty, right? It's like 2 lines there and 2 lines here and there. That's it. It doesn't give a proper slide there. Correct? Where there is animation or where there is complete information and so on. At least you can use to some extent a Copilot, right? You can use Copilot, which is in your MS. I don't know if you have used Copilot. You can use Copilot, and to some extent it will design it. But if you are using a notebook LM, it's a subscription model initially, or if you are using daily once, it's still okay. If you are using once or twice, after I think twice commands, it's free of cost. But if you are trying to use it more and more, then it's 200 rupees a month. So it's a good investment to buy. That is what you can do. Basically, it's a AI powered assistant to all the teachers and to all the students. And learning this is the best thing that you can do. It can be used for various things. I will try and demo it if I can get into that. But overall, what it does is notebook LM. How is it different from your ChatGPT or Perplexity or any other search engines? Is that it is used as a grounded AI. It's not a general AI. What do you mean by general AI and grounded AI? Suppose if it is a ChatGPT or a Perplexity, you give what is emotional intelligence, or I'm just taking the same example again and again so that you can understand. Suppose if you do emotional intelligence or examples of emotional intelligence or whatever, it will search the entire world and give you an answer, right? But what is that we want as activities? We want, okay, a textbook is given, we want all the information from the textbook, right? Or we want it according to the syllabus. So what you can do is, if you have a PDF document, you can upload it. You can upload it and it will take the information only from your uploaded document. It doesn't search the entire search engine. It does not take a Google or data like a Perplexity or a ChatGPT. It doesn't take information from entire world. If you upload a document, it will take the information only from that document. Say for example, now you have to do a you have to teach a subject and it has to be from this particular chapter or a VTU prescribed syllabus or whatever. If you upload a PDF document or a relevant resources, it will read only that and give you the information. And it will also point out, say for example, you want to know from where did this question come or where this is explained, it will point out you to the source, or it will point out in which line this is mentioned or in which paragraph this is mentioned. Okay, so it doesn't search the entire universe, but it searches only the sources that you upload. Isn't it a good option? Because like a text, all the textbooks are there in your PDF, right? Most of it. And if you also have to write questions for it, or a learning outcomes you have to give, or you have to give case studies relevant only to that particular chapter, then Notebook LM is the best option because it will take the sources only you input. You can input the sources in terms of, you can input from Google Drive or PDF or a text file, or say for example you would have done it through ChatGPT or Perplexity, you have the information already, you can copy from there and paste it here as well. So a copy text also works, URLs from the website works, all these things, but it will take the sources only that you have. It doesn't take everything from the world. It takes only that and then it does the evaluation, it does the analysis and gives you the relevant output. So, why this is important? Because here you get trustworthy answers. If you do ChatGPT or Perplexity, most of them are hallucinations. Right? It may be right, it may be wrong. It is according to your thought process, how you interpret. Most of the answers are hallucinated. But if you use a notebook again, you don't get a hallucinated answers. You get relevant answers. So you can trust it, and because it is cite from where it is taken. It is taken from a particular page, or it is taken from your whatever you have uploaded. From there only it takes, so it gives you a trustworthy answer. Is that clear? Yes.
If I'm talking from the research prospect, for example, like we are in the closure of our thesis, okay. So when we are reading out the literature views and all, so it may help us to get the
It
data.
will give you the summary as well. Your literature review summary also you can do. You can also cite from which paper they have been taken.
And the page numbers also.
Yes, citations will be complete.
The biggest challenge now we using now, avoiding the AI.
No, but you have to also learn how to use AI so that new tools have to be used. You cannot use general tools. That's the reason I said you cannot use general AI. General AI is a problem. That's the reason I have written also. The problem is general AI. But when you start using specific tools, you take grounded information. And grounded information is one which is the solution. Okay? If you are using the general AI, it is not going to work. So basically how it looks is, this is how a notebook looks like. A notebook this is how it looks like. So you can start adding your resources. You add the sources. You add the sources using this plus mark. You start your notebook I will try to demonstrate, but you add the sources. And then, your source will be read completely. Okay? You can also upload the sources and maybe a PPT or it may be a PDF or it may be just the URL link. Say for example a YouTube link. That's what you can upload it here. You upload all the sources and you can upload multiple sources. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and so on. So you can upload the sources. Once you are uploading the source, it will give you a summary page here. It will summarize the entire thing. Okay? But you need not worry about the summary. So the next thing is what maybe you want to convert it to a podcast. Why do you want to convert it to a podcast? Because particular students now, their preference is to listen for 5 minutes or 8 minutes max. Right? Their span of attention is very less. So what you can do is, you can say for example you are doing a topic, you can convert that into an audio and then give it to the students. They can listen to the podcast and come to the class. Then you can do discussions. Right? You need not worry on what are the topics. If you start teaching the topics, that is when the students also get bored of it. Okay, today's students, they are more towards the relevance. Say for example, if I am teaching emotional intelligence and I go with what is emotional intelligence, people will not be happy about it. Then the first thing as teachers, what we need to do is, we need to explain why is emotional intelligence relevant in your life, or how does emotional intelligence help you in your career. Okay, that is where we need to start. We need to start with relevance and not with theory. So relevance becomes the most important part. When we were learning, they used to start even from thermodynamics. What is thermodynamics to what is emotional intelligence? We would sit and listen in the class. But today's kids are not like that. They ask what is the use of learning this, right? So first thing should be the relevance. Then we can talk about other things. So this will help you if you give them a podcast. Okay, if you give them an audio, it will help you. But because when you go to YouTube, what you do, you usually search, right? YouTube videos. It may be relevant, part of it may be relevant, part of it may not be relevant. But if you do videos on your own, then it will be definitely relevant audios, right? So you can convert it into audios or you can convert it into videos and circulate them, and then it will help you in giving you the answers. You can also pause the audio, ask questions. You can interact with this too. So you can ask questions, it will also answer. Whenever you do it becomes a podcast between two people. You give it a chapter, you upload the PDF document, and you can have an audio where there are two people talking. One is asking questions, one is giving an answer. So that is how the audio becomes here. And also you can stop the audio anywhere and ask a question. That also can be done using your audio, and it also converted to a video. So you can tell it, convert it to an audio of 8 minutes or 5 minutes. You can give the command. That is the reason prompt engineering is important. So that is converted into an audio or a video. It is also converted into a slide. Say for example, you upload one chapter, the entire chapter becomes a summary, and that